Assalamu alaikum and a very pleasant morning, girls. Today we are going to see the Glass Menagerie scene 4. In this scene, the setting of the scene is the interior of the Wingfield apartment is dark. There is a faint light in the alley. There is a loud tolling of church bell indicating the hour of 5 in the morning as the scene opens. In this scene, we'll see Tom's experience with magician. Tom apologizes to Amanda. Tom agrees to bring gentlemen callers. Tom experiences with magician. Here in the scene, in the first part, we'll see Tom is drunk. Lara opens the door, tells about magic show, escaping from the closed coffin box, and changing water into beer. Rainbow colored scarf. The scene opens with that is, the apartment is dark because in the early morning, it is 5 o'clock in the morning, and we can hear the tolling of church bell. Okay, the scene opens where we'll see Tom appears at the top of the alley. Top of the alley, that is the apartment you will see here. Okay, by seeing Tom, we can easily comes to know that he has drunk. After each solemn boom of the bell in the church tower, he shakes a little noisemaker, a rattle, as if to express the tiny spasms of man, in contrast to the sustained power of and dignity of the Almighty. This act and his unsteady movement makes it evident that he has been drinking, that is, he has drunk. As he climbs the few steps of the fire escape landing, light steals up inside. Laura appears in night's dress, noticing Tom's empty bed in the front room. Tom fishes in his pocket for the door key and removes a motley assortment of articles in the search, including a bunch of movie tickets, stubs, and an empty bottle. At last, he finds the key. Just as he is about to insert it into the keyhole, it slips from his finger. Here you can see the key slips from his hand. Okay, he lights a match and crouches below the door to pick up the key. Is that clear? Okay. By his unsteady movement, we'll come to know that he has drunk, and he's in search of he's searching his pocket to find the key because he has to open the door, and when he takes the key, it slips from his finger, and he lights up the torch and searches the key. Okay, by doing that, Lara opens the door and asks Tom what he is doing. At the time, what happens? Laura opens the door and asks Tom that what he is doing here. Is that clear? He tells her that he is looking for the door key, which has fallen down. She then asks him where he has been all the time, and that for that Tom is replying, I am in search of a key which has fallen down. Now Laura is asking, where have you been all the time? That is the night time. Okay, Tom tells her that he has been to movies. Tom explains to Laura that there was a very long program. There was a movie featuring Garbo, followed by sideline tidbits such as Mickey Mouse, a travelogue, a newsreel, and new trailers of forthcoming movies. And there was an organ solo and a collection for the Milk Fund, which ended up with a terrible fight between a fat lady and a usher. And for that question, where have you been, Tom is giving a large explanation that he went to the movie. There was a long program, very long program, and there was a movie featuring and slide line tidbits and Mickey Mouse travelogue and a few trailers, new forthcoming, that is upcoming movies, and everything he is telling. For that, Laura is asking innocently, "You have forgotten about the magic show." Okay. Laura innocently asked Tom if he had to stay through everything. Tom tells Laura that he had to. He further tells her that he had forgotten to mention to her a big stage show conducted by Malvolio the magician. He performed wonderful tricks such as the pouring water back and forth between pots. First it turned to wine, and then it turned to beer, and then it turned to whiskey. He knows it was genuine whiskey because he was chosen to taste it. The magician was very generous fellow who gave souvenirs. There is Tom's pull from his back pocket a bright rainbow colored scarf. He tells Laura that the magician gave him that magic scarf as his souvenir. He presents it to her and tells her that if she waves it over a canny cage, she will get a bowl of goldfish. And again, if she waves it over the bowl of goldfish, they will fly away as canaries. But the most wonderful trick performed in the magician was one in which he was nailed to a coffin by Tom and others, and he got out it without removing even a single nail. Tom has now come inside the house. He thinks aloud, saying such a trick would come in handy for him to get out of the metaphorical coffin of his life at home and at warehouse, which he calls this. Okay, Tom then flops on the bed and starts removing his shoes. And slowly, what they are doing, Tom is going to his bed by saying that he has forgotten to say about the magic show, and he's giving one magic, that is rainbow scarf, and says to Laura that if you tricked in the pot, you will have a goldfish, and one more time if you wave the scarf means that time the goldfish will fly like a canaries. And one more thing is mentioning here is about the coffin, that is without he was slipped in the box, and without moving from that place he came out. Okay, and he is telling about that it is a very magical, we can't really believe that it is a magic. Okay, it is happening like that. Is it clear? Then Laura wishes him he should wake up Mother. Mother tells Laura that it would mother well for her nagging sermons to them to get up early and shine in life. Lying in bed, he wonders who in hell ever get himself out of a coffin without ever removing a single nail. And again, for the he is noising, he is making noise. For that, Laura is telling, please talk slowly, you will wake up Mother. So he is telling that oh, Mother will wake us as in the morning. Who the hell will wake up? And he is again goes to the magic show and tells about the thing. How can one person can come out of the coffin box without moving? Is that clear? Okay. And he goes to his bed and falls down. Immediately following this, the church bells is heard striking 6. At the 6th stroke of the church bell, the alarm clock goes off in Amanda's room, and after a few minutes, we hear her calling, "Rise and shine." That is, again, we are hearing the church bell is heard striking 6. That is, 6 times it's ringing. At the 6th stroke of the church bell, okay, the alarm clock goes off in Amanda's room. At 6 o'clock, the alarm clock goes off in Amanda's room. And after few minutes, we hear her calling. Who's calling? Amanda's calling. Rise and shine. Here, Amanda is waking up her daughter and son. That is Laura and Tom. Laura, go and tell your brother Tom to rise and shine. That is what it means, that if you raise up, that is if you wake up early, you will shine. Okay, Tom, sitting up slowly, protesting, declares that he will no doubt rise but never shine. At this point, the light increases. Amanda calls up Laura to tell her brother that his coffee is ready. Laura slips into front room. Laura tells Tom that it is nearly 7, appeals to him not to make mother nervous. She beseeches him not to lose time and make up his quarrel with mother by apologizing to her this morning. Tom points out to Laura that it was mother who started not speaking. Tom asks Laura if their mother not speaking to him is such a tragedy. Laura begs to him not to stand on ceremony and make up with mother. In the meanwhile, Amanda calls for Laura and reminds her of the task of going to the grocery to procure butter on credit. And when Amanda calls them, that is rise and shine, what Laura is telling, Laura is going to the Tom's room and wakes him that it is nearly 7. Your coffee is ready and go and bring. And Laura is begging to her brother that please apologize with mother and start speaking with her. Okay, but for that Tom is replying, it is not me who has stopped speaking, it is she who is not speaking with me. So for that also Laura is in a humble way requesting her brother to please sort out the problem with mother. Is that clear? And at that time, what happens? Amanda reminds Laura that the task of going to the grocery to procure butter and credit. Laura go to the store for butter. Okay, Laura tells her mother that the grocer makes faces when she asks him to supply provisions to them on credit, and it is very awkward for her to deal with him. Now, Laura is replying to her mother that if we ask for credit, the shopkeeper makes faces, so that is very awkward for her to deal with him. But Amanda asks her not to mind the expression on the grocer, Mr. Grangfield. The grocer name is Grangfield face, because they have no choices in the matter. Laura puts on an inaccurately made coat of her mother and a shapeless felt hat. And as she is going out, she again reminds Tom to make up with mother. Tom grudgingly says that he will do so. Now, when Amanda is telling her, never mind the expression of the face of the shopkeeper, you just go and buy the butter. And for that, what she is doing, she is wearing some coat, there is a shapeless coat and a hat, and she goes off. When she leaves the home, Laura tells to Tom that you have to remains that Tom, please make up with mother, that is you have to sort out the problem. Okay, for that Tom grudgingly, that is in murmuring, says that he will do so. Is it clear? A second later, what happens? Laura cries out and Tom rushes to her. She tells him that she had slipped on the fire escape steps, but now she is all right. Now what happens? A second later, Laura cries out and Tom rushes to her because that is here Laura is going to get a butter. At that time, what happens? Laura slips from the steps. Okay, Tom rushes to her. She tells, that is Laura tells to him that she had slipped on the fire escape steps, but now she is all right. By hearing her cry, Tom rushes to her and asks about the cry. For that, she replies that I have slipped from the step. Okay, but now I am all right. Was that clear? Amanda, who also rushes to see Laura, tells that she will sue the landlord if anyone breaks his or her leg on the narrow staircase and teach him a lesson. She confronts Tom but remembers that she is not speaking to him and returns to the other room. What happens? By seeing this scene, she becomes angry, upset, and for that she is telling that surely I will take this thing to the landlord because no one should break their legs like Laura. So confronts to Tom but remembers that she is not speaking to the Tom. So what she is doing? She returns to the other room. Is that clear? As Tom enters listlessly for his coffee, she turns her back to him and stands rigidly facing the window on the gloomy grey walls of the areaway. Its light on her face, with aged but childish features, is cruelly sharp, satirically as damn your print. At this point, Ave Marie is played on the violin. Tom glances sheepishly but sadly at the averted figure of his mother and slumps up the table. The coffee is very hot. He sips it and burns his tongue, so he spits it back in the cup. At this gasp, Amanda catches her breath and half turns. Then Amanda catches herself and turns back to the window. Tom blows on his coffee, glancing sidewise at his mother. She clears her throat. Tom clears his. He starts to race, sinks back down again, scratches his head. Tom raises his cup in both hands to blow on it, his eyes staring over the rim of his cup at his mother for several moments. Then he slowly sets the cup down and awkwardly and hesitantly raises from the chair. Now what happens? As Tom comes and sits to sip a coffee, he sips the coffee. It is very hard. Tom sips the hot coffee and spit it back to the cup. That time Laura sees him, but she never spoke a word to him, and for that he is doing some naughty things. For that also she is not at all responding to his thing. Okay, Tom apologizes. Then what happens? He hesitantly and awkwardly raises from the chair. Okay, Tom apologizes to his mother, to the old matron. He says that he is terribly sorry for what he had said, and of course he did not really mean what he had said. As he begs for forgiveness, Amanda bursts into tears and complains that her devotion to her children has made her a witch, and she makes herself hateful to her children. Tom assures her that she does not make herself hateful to them. Amanda tells him that she worries so much, does not sleep properly, and it makes her nervous. Tom gently comforts her, saying that he understands her concern and anxiety for them. Then she goes on to say how she had put up a solitary battle all these years, but her only hope and strength is Tom, whom is considered her right hand bower. She appeals to him not to shatter her hopes. Tom promises to try. Amanda regains her enthusiasm and assures him that he will succeed in his life if he tries earnestly. She is sure that he is full of natural endowments. She is aware that both of her children are unusual ones and she is very happy about it. She then asks Tom to promise her that he will never be a drunkard, or Tom promises her that effect. She tells him that she was very much worried that he would become a drunkard, and she is now happy that Tom would dispel her fears. She then advises to eat a bowl of purina or shredded wheat biscuit along with his coffee because he could not put it in a day's work on the empty stomach. When Tom insists that he wants just coffee, she tells him that drinking too hot liquid causes cancer of the stomach and so advises him to put cream in his coffee. It will cool the stomach. But Tom tells her that he wants just a cup black coffee. Amanda tells him that it is not good for him. She lays stress on the need to build up their health and strength. As times are difficult, they have to depend on the mutual support. That is why he is very particular that Tom pays a proper attention to his physical well-being. She then tells Tom that she has sent Laura out purposefully so that she could discuss something with him. Even if he had not spoken to her that morning, she would have spoken to him without minding her ego. Then Tom asks her what she wants to discuss with him. She tells him that she wants to discuss the future of his sister, Laura, with him. At this point, Tom puts his cap down slowly. Then, legend that is flashed on the screen is Laura, the Glass Menagerie. Music is played on the violin. In this scene, what happens? Tom is asking sorry with Amanda, the mother, and is telling that I'm really sorry for what are all the things I have done. Okay, and he tells that he will not repeat the same thing again. And Laura says that taking care of her children has made her witch. Okay, and for that also he reassures that he will not repeat the same thing. And after that, what happens? Amanda tells Tom that you should not drink. Okay, and you have to take care of your health. And for that also, Tom promises him and does the same thing. And at that last, what happens? Amanda asking him drink coffee with biscuit. It will cool your stomach and you will work the full day. For that, he is telling I need only a black coffee, and he is telling it is hot and it will cause cancer, and so you just put some cream in that, it will cool your stomach. Is that clear? And after that, Tom says that Laura wants to talk to him about the future, that is about the marriage. Okay, at that time also, that is at that time what happens, the Glass Menagerie music starts. Okay, Amanda tells Tom that though Laura by nature is quiet, she notices the then Tom that though Laura is quiet by nature, she is very calm. She notices the entire going on in this house as she broods out about them. A few days ago, when she came in, she found Laura to be crying because she was worried about Tom. Laura has a feeling that Tom was not happy here in their house. Tom asked Amanda what gave Laura the idea that he was not happy. Amanda tells Tom that his strange behavior has made Laura feel that way. Amanda wants Tom to understand that she is not criticizing him. She knows pretty well that ambition and Laura is very much worried because of Tom's behavior, and she thinks that Tom is not happy in their house. Tom told and that for that only Laura is very much worried. Okay, but like everybody, the whole worldwide, he has had to make sacrifices. She points out Tom that life is not what we desire it would be. It calls for serpent endurance. That is, life is not what we desire, we think, we wish. It is full of surprises. Okay, Tom, when she notices him talking after his father's ways by staying out late and drinking heavily and behaving insolently to her as he did the other day, she has got reasons to believe that Laura is after all right when she says that Tom hates the apartment, his home, so much that she chooses to go out at nights to get away from it. Amanda asks Tom if what Laura says is true. Tom tells her that Laura's conjecture about him is not true, but he adds that just as Amanda cannot open her heart out him, he too cannot open his heart to her. He wishes that both of them respected each restless and where he goes to the movies night after night. Tom tells her that he goes to the movies so much because he loves so much adventure is something which he does not get much at work. Now, Laura is worrying about Tom's future and the behavior, and she says that Tom is not loving the apartment, so that only he is out of night by night and watching and spending his time outside. And Amanda is asking whether it is true. That time, Tom is replying that it is not quite true, it is not fully true, but I like adventures, so that only I am spending my nights in the outside, because in the workplace I am not getting that adventure. Okay, Amanda points out to Tom that most young men find adventure in their career. Tom resorts to her by saying that most young men are not employed in a warehouse then. Amanda then argues with Tom that his world is full of young men employed in warehouse, offices, and factories. At this time, Tom asked Amanda whether all of them find adventure in their career. Amanda tells him that either they find adventure in their career or they manage without it. Not every has craze for adventure like him. Tom points out to his mother that man by instinct is a lover, hunter, a fighter, and none of those instincts are given such scope of the warehouse. Objecting to Tom's use of the word instinct, Amanda observes that instinct is something that people have got away from. It belongs to animals. Christian adults will have to truck with it. Tom sarcastically asks her what Christian adults really want then. Now she is telling every man wants adventure and something in their career, but you have to find your adventure in your job. For that, Tom is telling, yeah, I know that everyone needs everything and everyone will not find the same adventure in the workplace, so I am finding in the outside. Tom asks her what she wants to talk about Laura. Amanda tells him that Laura is older than he by 2 years and nothing has materialized for her. She just drifts along doing nothing. It gives her great fright. So they have to make some plans and provisions for her. Tom tells Amanda that Laura is the type that people call home girls. Okay, how Laura is such a quiet and calm, homely girl. Okay. Amanda further adds with concern to Tom that she puts her in business college and she proved a dismal failure there. The college course frightened her, making her sick at stomach. Then she took her to the Young People's League at the church. That was another fiasco. She spoke to nobody and nobody spoke to her. Now all that she does is to fool with those pieces of glass, animals and playhouse worn out photograph record of her father. She cannot imagine what of life it will be for a girl like Laura to lead. Now what she's telling to Tom that Laura is a simple girl and she wants to stay home. I have put her in the business college also. There also she proved to be a failure, and because of that she is not going to the college, and she is spending her time in the church. And I don't know what kind of career will bring to this kind of girl, that is Laura, to lead. Tom asks Amanda what he does about Laura's failures. Amanda asks Tom to give his selfishness because self is all that he ever thinks. As it is getting late, Tom springs up and gets his coat on and puts on his cap. Amanda asks him to put on his woolen muffler. As he moves on, she asks him to look for some young man at this warehouse who is clean acquainted with her. As Tom is getting impatient, Amanda implores him to look for a gentleman caller for Laura in his warehouse. Tom rushes out, saying that he will try. As Amanda closes the door, Glamour magazine cover is projected on the screen. Amanda, with some hope, renews her effort to collect subscription on the campaign from the one Ella Cartwright over the telephone by highlighting a hot serial by the popular novelist Bessie Maphoper, who thrilled her reader with her honeymoon for 3. Amanda also gives the setting of the new novel. Soon the scene fades out. By this, the scene ends. Okay, girls. If you have any doubts, please do ask, girls. Do ask in the Google Classroom, and surely I will clarify your doubts. Okay, girls. By this, the scene 4 ends. Tomorrow we will see the scene 5. Okay, please do watch the video, girls, then only you will understand clearly. Okay, thank you, girls. Take care. Bye bye. Allah Hafiz.